Hi, Michael here, and today we'll be talking about how to improve your social skills if you live in a small city or rural area. Now, this is a question I get asked a lot. Like, hey Michael, I don't live in a big city. Everyone in my small town knows me. How am I supposed to behave differently when there could be all these negative consequences because I have to see the same people at work on Monday? And I completely get where you're coming from. Right now I'm back in the U.S. on my family farm where I grew up. I grew up in a really rural area. And it's a lot different than the other places I've spent the majority of the year, which have been in cities like Moscow and New York. There's a reason that a lot of social coaching companies only operate out of big cities like New York and Los Angeles. The obvious being there's a higher concentration of clients there, but also the type of techniques that they teach are really only applicable in places where there's a high throughput of people, right? That you need to always new people to interact with. And you don't really have to worry about a single interaction being appropriate or okay at all because, hey, you're never going to see that person again. Rather than teaching more core principles and techniques where you can use them in any environments. And here's the thing. The skills you want, do you really want them only applicable in a nightclub or a bar? No, you want social skills that you can use anywhere, at work, at the grocery store, on public transportation to meet people, in any type of meeting or social gathering. You don't just want skills that are applicable in one area. Don't get me wrong, I do think it is probably more difficult to get better. Maybe not more difficult, but it takes a longer process to get better at improving your social skills when you live in a smaller town or rural area than if you live in a big city. The reason being, like anything, social skills, like any other type of skill, can be learned through repetition. And in a bigger city, there's simply more possibilities to meet new people and you can have more interactions. And the more interactions you have, the more opportunities you have to learn from. Now, you can still have a lot of interactions in your small town, but they'll be with the same type of people, or the same people over and over again. And what's important to know is you can't change your behavior too extremely because you're going to see that person again, while if you're not going to see the person again, there's less risk. Some of the things that can hold you back when you live in a small city or rural environment is that you feel that everyone already knows you, right? So everyone has already kind of classified you in their minds, they've put you in a box, and even more importantly, you've kind of already put yourself in a box. And that means when you try to change your behavior and act a new way, a lot of people you can feel pushback from people because they kind of really want to keep you classified where they have already put you and they don't feel comfortable with seeing you act a new way. And this is one of the best things that came out of me moving abroad almost 10 years ago and going to a brand new country where I didn't even speak the language when I arrived, was no one really had any preconceived notions there of who I was. I was kind of free to reinvent myself and act in different ways, and I didn't have that pressure pushing back on me, telling me, no, don't try to be different. The number one thing that holds people back in a city or town is a scarcity mentality. They believe that they only have one chance at maybe finding love or getting into a popular group of people, and if they screw it up, that'll be it. So this puts a lot of pressure on them and makes them act strangely and worse, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where that pressure then causes failure, causes rejection. That rejection then reinforces their fears and beliefs, and it's a downhill spiral. So what are the solutions? Well, one solution is the obvious one, is to move. Now, if you live in a country like the United States, Canada, Russia, these are huge countries, and you could live somewhere that really is 5 or 6 hour drive away from the largest nearest town. However, if you live in a country like Germany, I lived many years in Germany as a student, and while in Germany I had a semester ticket which let me travel for free. So that meant every weekend I got on the train from my small town where I was studying and went to a bigger town where there was, or city where there was people, even upwards to 1 million people. It's like an hour train ride away. Now, was it fun to take the train an hour one way and back every weekend? Or usually twice a weekend, Friday night and Saturday night? No, but I treated going out on the weekend like I would a course or like going to work or going to the gym. I took it seriously. I was like, if I want to improve my social skills, then I'm going to need to put the time and effort in. And I would listen to audiobooks, read real books, listen to podcasts, and try to get back some of that time that I spent on the train. But in the long term, after 6 months, it was definitely worth it because I saw huge results. Now, if moving to a new area is not an option because of work, family, or maybe you just like where you live, this doesn't mean that you can't improve your social skills. It just means that maybe you need to use a different process to do so. Now, what I teach to everyone, not just people who live in small towns and rural areas, is how to remove bad behaviors that they're doing and also address the underlying false beliefs that are causing them, rather than just giving them a bag of tips and tricks to use. Because what a lot of other coaches do is they just hand a person a bag of tips and tricks, the surface level things they can do, and these people just start acting out and using these things, not really knowing what they're doing. And in a big city, this is not really a problem because they're not going to see the people again. However, in a rural area, yeah, there can be consequences. Or one of the most common things is they're just too nervous to ever apply anything to start with because they're afraid of the people they're going to have to see again. So instead, by adopting what I teach, which is let's remove some of the bad behaviors you do. What are some bad behaviors that you can work on in any environments? Well, that one thing is you have bad eye contact, most simple thing. You can improve your work on eye contact everywhere. One thing is you're always bartering for attention. You're always trying to get people to like you by doing something for them, right? Or another thing is you're always qualifying yourself and people are losing respect in you because you're always qualifying all the actions you're doing. Those are the type of behaviors that you can work on, and you can remove those bad behaviors, and there's no way there's going to be a negative consequence. There's only going to be a positive consequence from removing the bad. Now, if you're interested in learning about these type of behaviors as they directly apply to dating and attraction, then I'd recommend checking out my book, which is linked to in the description below. And if you're just interested in these social skills in general for all environments, then I created the Enhanced EQ online video course, which you also can find in the description below. Until next time, ciao.